So today I was thinking about um, planning projects, which is something that, well, it definitely comes up in my life a lot, and it comes up with my clients, and especially working with teams and companies. And one thing that I realize I enjoy is planning for contingencies. And what I mean by this is years ago, I learned, mainly from experience that no matter what, no matter what you plan, something is going to come up. So I realize now that that's something that I'm always anticipating in some way. I'm I'm anticipating that things will go wrong. And I know it may sound a little pessimistic or depressing, but I realize I'm a pessimistic optimist or an optimistic pessimist. Um, if I'm going to meet somebody on the subway, I pretty much plan that there's a good likelihood, at least in New York, that the train I'm going for might be delayed, or that particular line will be canceled for the afternoon. So, you know, the, I'm always looking for potential plan Bs. And if I'm cooking something, I'm anticipating that a particular ingredient may be out. And I like thinking about what could go wrong sometimes, not in a way that it makes me stop doing what I'm going to do. There are times when I definitely imagine something going wrong and it stops me. But this is more like, okay, I'm gonna plan to make a picnic with some friends, and I'm gonna I'm gonna start thinking about, well, what could go wrong, and so what could go wrong on a picnic? Well, the weather certainly could go wrong. You might not be able to get the types of snacks that you want. It might be too crowded. So for me, it's actually fun to imagine those different things and think about what I would do, adapting them. But I think the main thing that I do is um, I do pad my plans. Like adding time is one thing that you can always kind of build into a plan so that there's time to recover. Because as much as I enjoy trying to anticipate what go wrong, doing so is really hard, because the thing that goes wrong is usually the thing that you haven't thought about. It's that you're cooking something and that you run out of something really critical like salt, or a very basic ingredient, or you ran out of rice, and that was like the key element in the dish. So I may change course, or I may run to the store, but the main thing is just knowing that things can go wrong. And the fact that I sort of anticipate that allows me to be pleasantly surprised a lot when things go smoothly. I'm like, oh, that was fantastic. And it can go too far. I noticed this in myself the other day. I was going to a friend's art opening, and it was out of the city, and I got a car and I drove up there. And I think, without even realizing it, I was just in my mind, I was imagining that parking was going to be really challenging. I think it's because in the city, parking is really challenging. And even though this was in the country, I was thinking, oh my God, it's a lot of people, and parking is going to be complicated, and it's going to be crowded and challenging to get into the event. When I got there, there were people standing outside of the the kind of land where this show was, and the guy said, oh, you just want to go over there and take a right, and there's valet parking. And thought, oh, even that's going to be complicated. But I pulled up, and they basically took my keys, and there was a shuttle bus, and I went right in. And so this was a time where I was kind of like pleasantly surprised by things turning out better than I had expected. But being somebody that sort of is planning for things to go off track, I certainly allowed time so that if parking was difficult, I would have had enough time. And for me, it's a fun state of mind to think about what could go wrong, and then to try to come up with inventive solutions. I'm not much of a MacGyver, person. I'm not that inventive, but I really enjoy, trying to devise solutions when something is going off on a project. And I love it when somebody says, "Oh, this won't work," because immediately it makes me, I love problem solving, and it lets me be very creative and start exploring solutions. So I just have, part of my project planning is assuming that something here will go wrong, and then having fun imagining what that might be, not in a way that I shut down the project, but just sort of thinking, okay, what are some things can go wrong? And then when invariably something does go off track, I try to have fun generating solutions with it, and the worst that happens is, the project doesn't happen. And again, like hopefully it's not a big deal. Your life isn't, live and die based on one, picnic or set of plans. So the next time you're planning a project, I encourage you to think about, okay, something very likely will go off track, and what can I invent when that does happen?